this I'll speak a little bit about. So I'm pleased to say we haven't had HMRC investigations as such, but we do have to answer them for some of our licenses, particularly in the sales business. And we talked about this before, weren't we, Stuart? It can be a really scary sort of experience to go through. It certainly was for us, even where, frankly, we held the required license and we're desperately working to do everything we should be. But actually, even just the process of them checking was not a great process to go through. Now, I know there are some insurance products that can help people. I know MRP has something that if we had any investigation, that we can get that help. So I don't know if it's just worth mentioning what people might access to assist them if they end up.
Absolutely. Most accountancy practices will have an offering of investigation insurance. There are various prices depending upon the practice, but ultimately the point of them is if you are investigated by HMRC, the insurance will pay for your defence. It won't and cannot pay for any tax that you owe because the law prohibits that, but it will pay for the costs of your defence. Now, in the case of my practice, that includes any mine or my staff's time. It also means we, although we're a general accountancy practice, we have on retainer a lady who's an ex-senior HMRC Inspector of Taxes who has turned to the other side and she now defends people rather than attacks them. She was one of the most fierce HMRC Inspector of Taxes I've ever come across, and because of that, she's one of the most fierce in defending people. And if a client of ours has the insurance package and they get investigated by HMRC, we bring our big guns out to defend the case as best we possibly can. Now, it may be that there is something wrong and it's genuine and you have tax to pay. We can't do anything about that, but the point is it pays for that. Now, paying for people of that sort of level can be up to £200 an hour, so the bills can rack up very, very quickly. And the point of the insurance is it pays that bill, so you don't need to worry about it. You don't end up in a situation if you've been investigated with A, a tax bill, and B, a big bill for defending your case. We often find that an investigation can cost 3, 4, 5, even up to 10 times what the cost of preparing a tax return is. It's just so long-winded, some of these procedures. So we always absolutely recommend the insurance. Just for relevance sake, I think our policy for a limited company is just over £100, for an individual is just under £100. I can't remember the exact figures off the top of my head, but we're not talking about a huge amount of money per year. We're talking about an amount of money which just gives you that peace of mind to know that if you were investigated and the fees to defend you were £1,000 or £2,000, it gets paid by the insurance policy. So most accountancy practices offer such a service.
Yeah, I think the examples I've seen have, to be fair, have not even been people who were complying, if that makes sense. And it's just that process of back defending yourself, isn't it? But it is still a horrific process to go through because the letters generally are pretty. I mean, I'm sure they mean to be soft and cuddly, but they're not. Because the letters immediately jump to the worst case outcomes.
We've had letters through before, and I run them past our lady consultant, and her reply is, "Tell them to sod off." And I said, "But you can't." The HMRC, I can't tell them. I said, "No, they're asking for stuff they're not allowed to ask for. They can get that themselves. Tell them to go and get it themselves. You're not providing it." And she knows because she's been there, she's done that job, and that's why we utilise her services. We know a lot about this stuff, but we don't know it like HMRC know it at their end, and so that's why we use her services. And it is some of the things they can ask for are quite scary, and you think, can they really be that intrusive? And she knows where they have to draw the line and where they're not allowed to go beyond, and puts them back in their box if need be. And like I say, it defends the case. So it is just, it's not a nice experience. And even if you've done nothing wrong, it's still not a nice experience to go through.
Yeah. I think that's where we've seen it. And it has been where people have just been defending their position. Does that make sense? Just defending their position. But even that process of, and when it's 3 or 4 years back, like you say, getting back to that record. And what was that little receipt for? It's the time as well, isn't it? The time that would take.
It's a massive distraction, massive.
Yes.
And so the insurance service is there if anybody needs it.
Yeah. No, I think there's value in it. Certainly anybody I know who's been through any form of investigation has not found it pleasant, usually traumatic, frankly.
Absolutely.
Even if they're innocent.
Absolutely.
It's been my experience. Sometimes especially if they're innocent, actually.
And most believe they're innocent, believe they've done things right, but have inadvertently done something wrong. there are some who haven't been innocent.
Yes.
Some who knowingly have done things wrong and HMRC catch them, but there are others who have genuinely done what they thought was right and it just hasn't turned out that way.
No, that's great. Should we do a couple of gains tax again? Obviously, landlords are in, I think because of the world we're in, and